All right, let's talk about something that keeps pretty much every property manager and landlord up at night: empty units. Today, we're diving deep into letting and vacancy management. But look, instead of just staring at the lost rent and stressing out, we're going to completely shift our perspective. We are going to turn what is usually a passive frustration into a highly proactive, strategic process. Let's get right into it. Why is your unit still empty? Man, it's a painful question, right? When a place sits vacant week after week, it is so tempting to just throw your hands up. You want to blame bad luck, or the economy, or maybe just the time of year. But I need you to reframe that thinking right now. A vacant unit is absolutely not bad luck. It is critical diagnostic market feedback. The market is literally speaking directly to you, and in this explainer, we are going to learn exactly how to translate what it's saying. Here is our roadmap for today. We're going to start by decoding the vacancy signal, then look at pricing and first impressions, followed by marketing and inquiry speed. After that, we'll dive into showing, screening, and selection, how to close without desperation, and we'll wrap it all up with some real-world letting scenarios. It's a complete start-to-finish system. Okay, Section 1, decoding the vacancy signal. Because at the end of the day, vacancy is feedback, not just a problem. Let's look at how this shift in mindset actually plays out. You know, when a unit just won't rent, the average landlord gets super emotional. They blame the market, they sit around passively hoping a tenant will just magically appear, or they absolutely panic and slash the rent without even thinking it through. But the elite approach? You have to diagnose before adjusting. An empty unit simply means one of four things is broken: your pricing, your presentation, your marketing, or your follow-up. That is it. So we need to stop guessing and start diagnosing. Moving right along to Section 2, pricing and first impressions. It is time to get way beyond guesswork and emotional decisions. Pricing is kind of like this delicate balancing act, and the extremes are actually pretty dangerous. Think about it. If you price too high, you are essentially guaranteeing a long, painful vacancy. But if you price too low, you don't just lose out on a bit of revenue, you end up attracting really poor tenant quality. Price isn't solely about demand. It acts as a literal, direct filter for the exact type of person you're going to attract. So how do we actually find that perfect Goldilocks zone? Well, you use a practical pricing method. You absolutely cannot just guess a number based on what you want to earn. You have to start by comparing similar units right in your exact area. But here's the kicker. You don't stop there. You systematically adjust that baseline price up or down based on your unit's condition, its accessibility, and its amenities. Like, did you just put in a brand new kitchen while the place down the street has cabinets from 1995? Bump that price up. Is your unit on a super loud, busy intersection? Adjust it down. It's a logical, systematic formula. But hey, having the perfect price means absolutely nothing if the unit looks like a disaster. There is a strict minimum standard you have to hit before you even think about putting a listing out there. You have got to clean it top to bottom. Fix any visible defects. We're talking hanging cabinet doors or cracked switch plates. Make sure every single light works so the place feels bright, and get rid of all the clutter. Why are these things completely non-negotiable? Because tenants make decisions emotionally first and logically second. If your place looks rough, high-quality tenants are going to walk out the door instantly, and you'll be left dealing with desperate, low-quality applicants who will just take whatever they can get. Section 3, marketing and inquiry speed. This is all about being seen, and more importantly, being incredibly fast. Look, everyone knows the usual marketing channels, right? WhatsApp groups, Facebook Marketplace, using your agent networks, throwing up some good old-fashioned physical signage. You're probably doing that right now. But here is where the vast majority of people completely miss the mark. Your competitors are out there posting blurry, dark photos with descriptions that basically tell you nothing. If you want to win, your listing needs crystal clear, bright photos and a highly detailed description. Put the exact location, the standout features, the actual rent amount, and your direct contact info. Just make it easy for them. Do not make prospective tenants play a guessing game. And that brings us to what I consider the absolute golden rule of property marketing. The first to respond among managers and landlords often wins the tenant. Seriously, let that sink in for a second. A really great tenant is out there looking at 5 different places today. If they shoot you a message and you take 24 hours to get back to them, they've already signed a lease with the landlord who replied in 5 minutes. In this game, speed is a massive, massive competitive advantage. When your phone buzzes, you need a system in place to respond fast and qualify them right on the spot. All right, Section 4, showing, screening, and selection. I always like to call this phase the hidden assessment, because a property viewing isn't just a casual tour, it's a live, two-way interview. When you're running a viewing, your job is simple. Arrive early, project total confidence, and naturally highlight the best features of the unit. What you absolutely want to avoid is nervously talking their ear off or sounding completely unsure of yourself. You have to remember, while you are evaluating them to see if they're a good fit, they are actively evaluating you too. High-quality tenants want a professional, reliable landlord. If you roll up late, fumble around looking for the right keys, and seem disorganized, a great tenant is going to walk away. Why? Because they're going to assume you manage the actual property as chaotically as you managed that simple viewing. And this hidden assessment, it actually builds the entire foundation of your screening process. You really don't have to wait for a background check to start spotting red flags. Pay attention to their punctuality, listen to the types of questions they ask, and watch their attitude toward your rules right out of the gate. Like, are they asking about your maintenance schedules, or are they asking how often you check up on the property? Behavior patterns show up incredibly early. If they're already pushing boundaries during a quick 15-minute tour, you better believe they'll be pushing boundaries for the next 12 months. Section 5. Closing without desperation. Listen closely to this one because interest absolutely does not equal commitment. You need a rock-solid, repeatable procedure to guide a prospect from just saying, "Oh, I like the place," to actually putting pen to paper and signing the lease. Here's exactly how you close. First, verbally confirm their interest. Just ask them directly, "Would you like to proceed?" Second, state your requirements super clearly, especially regarding the deposit and the rent. Do not be shy or awkward about the money. And third, set a strict timeline to lock the unit down. Tell them, "Let me know your timeline today so we can reserve it for you." You have to actively guide the entire process right to the finish line. But as you're pushing for that close, you have got to monitor your own mindset. The pressure of a vacancy is heavy, and honestly, it can push you into making some truly disastrous decisions. Watch out for the warning signs that you're operating out of desperation. Are you suddenly ignoring those early red flags we just talked about? Are you thinking about accepting partial payments up front just to get a warm body in the unit? Or, maybe worst of all, are you rushing and skipping the proper background documentation? Don't do it. Do not cave to that pressure. I promise you, a bad tenant is infinitely more expensive and causes way more headaches than just eating one more month of vacancy. All right, Section 6, Real-World Letting Scenarios. Let's take everything we've talked about and actually stress test this framework. Let's just rapid fire through some common case studies here. Say your unit has been empty for 2 months. Stop just waiting around. Diagnose the problem right now. Is your price too high? Does the place look bad? Or does your marketing suck? Figure it out and execute an action plan today. What if you have high interest, tons of messages, but no one is signing? That means your marketing is working, but your process is broken. Fix the bottleneck. Are you taking too long to reply? Now, what if an applicant is super desperate for an immediate move-in, but they only have partial pay today? You communicate a very strict no. No full payment, no keys. And finally, if competing units right down the street are filling up way faster than yours, you need to step back and tweak your strategy immediately, whether that's boosting your curb appeal or adjusting your rent price. Before we wrap this all up, I want to give you one really advanced insight. Time lost early is almost impossible to recover later. The absolute best, most elite property managers don't wait for a unit to be totally empty to start trying to fill it. They start running their marketing machine before the old tenant even hands back the keys. By anticipating that vacancy, you can drastically shrink the window where the unit is just sitting there empty and burning a hole in your pocket. So let's quickly summarize the core takeaways from today's explainer. First off, remember that vacancy is a direct feedback signal from the market, not just a streak of bad luck. Second, how you price and present your unit will absolutely dictate the quality of the tenant you attract. Third, in the letting game, pure speed and a highly structured process are what actually close deals. And lastly, holding on to strict discipline is the only thing that will protect you from making terrible tenant placements. The whole goal here is shifting from passive frustration to total proactive control. I want to leave you with this final, highly provocative thought. Will your next tenant create stability, or are they going to bring you future stress? Because every single time you have a vacancy, you're standing at a crossroads. If you compromise on your standards, if you ignore what the market is telling you, and if you act out of sheer desperation, you are practically begging for future stress. But if you apply the diagnostic framework we just walked through, if you price it right, move with incredible speed, screen without mercy, and close like a professional, you are going to build incredible long-term stability. The choice is 100% yours. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will catch you next time as we keep breaking down the strategies that make you absolutely unstoppable.